scrotum. All alterations or differentiations as regards the standard are to be considered as more or less serious defects. And so here is our beloved German Shepherd dog. After many years it will still maintain considerable energy and an endless desire to play. However, be warned, much will depend on you. Max von Stephanitz with his friend Arthur Meyer also founded the specialist club that still operates in Germany with the initials SV. The SV is the breed club for the publicization and popularization of the German Shepherd dog in the world. Its headquarters are in Germany and it has more than 200,000 members scattered in all continents. The club's social activity takes place through the various training grounds, meeting places to train and prepare the best dogs for the rings of official shows. Each year in Germany, at the start of September, the Society's breeding championship is organized, where more than 2,000 registered dogs compete for the various titles. The crowd attending this show, which is always held in big stadia, offers much support and enthusiasm. The judgment of all the dogs is carried out in two instances: judgment while stationary, and the second while moving on the ring together with all the other dogs. The judge promotes dogs according to his/her judgment until a final classification is reached, where the marks awarded are excellent, very good, good, fairly good. The prestigious titles of Sieger and Auslese await the best dogs. For dogs in the work class, the test of character is also required, where dogs will be awarded marks of pronounced, present, or insufficient. How does a dog get into the work class? We will now explain how it works. The work tests are divided in order of difficulty into first, second, and third license, and each envisages 3 sections, which are track, section A, obedience for section B, and finally defense for section C. Third license exercises are shown in the images that we see. In the track, that must have a length of around 800 steps, dogs must find 3 objects and perform 4 right angles. The first object is placed 100 steps from the start, the second about halfway along, and the last one at the end of the track. In section B, the dog must perform a series of obedience exercises, where we see it walk alongside its handler, stop upon command, stay still in the sitting position, run upon calling, go to retrieve an object thrown over the fence, and reposition itself next to its handler. The final stage, C, defense section, sees the dog search for the hidden walk-on. It will commence barking after finding it. Then the handler will reach its dog and will send the walk-on ahead. In an attempt to escape, it will be stopped by the dog, which will attack the sleeve with force. The dog must let go upon the order of its handler. A proper diet is essential to your dog's correct and full development, so as to be able to keep it in perfect shape and health. Some people believe that dogs can eat virtually anything, and therefore give their dogs all kinds of food, often recycling the leftovers from their own meals. This is a serious mistake, since what may be digestible to us and a source of nourishing substances often cannot be digested by dogs or is unable to be metabolized. A final piece of advice. It sometimes happens that a dog loses its appetite and refuses food for 1 or even 2 days. This is a normal occurrence, and in these cases it is a good rule not to always leave a full bowl of food down for the dogs. Instead, the food should be removed after a short time. Present the bowl of food again at the following mealtime after having changed its contents. In the event of loss of appetite lasting for more than 2 days without the presence of side symptoms, or if it is accompanied from the outset by symptoms of general suffering or exhaustion, consult your vet immediately. It is very likely to be an ordinary ailment, but in this case it is not worth taking a risk, and it is better to seek reassurance from an expert. We will now begin with a brief description of a dog's digestive apparatus. As in all carnivores, the stomach is of large dimensions, whereas the intestine is relatively short. Initial digestion in the stomach takes from 3 to 8 hours. Then the food passes into the intestine, where the nourishing substances are assimilated, which are then transmitted to all the organs through the blood. The stomach's large capacity and the slow digestion process allow abundant meals to be eaten at fairly spaced out intervals. Naturally, to keep dogs in excellent health, it is necessary to provide them with all the elements that they require, that is, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, and minerals. When dogs were carnivorous predators, these elements were assimilated by dogs through the animals that they hunted, and which were generally herbivores. Afterwards, civilization has led it to feed differently, but it will always be necessary to provide dogs with the appropriate substances. Dogs produce energy from their diet, which is then used for the maintenance of vital functions and movement. The more active a dog is, the greater the energy intake it will require. Without going into detailed food studies that would require a specific treatise, we can simply say that dogs particularly require fats or lipids, both of animal and vegetable origin, and it is these which provide the necessary energy and which accumulate in the organism to provide possible energy reserves. The proteins that make up the large part of the animal's body are also essential. These are indispensable to the formation of all the tissues, especially muscles, and also constitute the basis of hormones and the blood. They therefore represent an irreplaceable element in a proper diet, even more so in puppies, which must build their bodies. Sources of protein are meat, cheese, eggs and fish, which are well digested by dogs, and also soybean flour, peanuts, legumes, which are however digested with more difficulty. An excess of proteins is harmful and can lead to various kinds of disorders, depending on the conditions. Carbohydrates are not essential to a dog's diet. They are, however, very useful at the end of pregnancy. Starch, which is the most important carbohydrate present in the diet, is poorly digested by dogs and needs to undergo preliminary treatment such as cooking, flaking, etc. This is why if you use pasta or rice as a food for your canine friend, it needs to be boiled for a long time to eliminate a large part of the starch present. Fiber, which often accompanies carbohydrates, is especially useful in the diet of sedentary dogs, since it helps to prevent constipation, given the speed with which it passes through the alimentary tract. Vitamins are also necessary, even if in infinitesimal amounts. They are found in many vegetables and are synthesized by herbivorous animals. This is the reason why when a carnivore kills its prey, generally herbivorous, it immediately feeds on the intestines, where there are residues of partially digested vegetable matter. This also explains why, to your considerable annoyance, your dog often eats the excrement of herbivorous animals as soon as it gets the chance. A build-up of vitamins can be harmful, and therefore, if you use pre-prepared feed, you should carefully check the substances contained in the feed before adding supplements, and if in doubt, consult your vet. Minerals are essential to the diet and are supplied by foods. Deficiency in certain minerals such as calcium, iron, potassium, sodium, copper and others can cause abnormal growth in puppies, also with serious consequences and general debility in adult dogs, or the onset of problems of varying degrees. There is excellent pre-packed feed on the market, both moist and dry types, that provide all the necessary elements for initial growth, and to then keep your dog in top shape. Even if you use pre-packed feed, you will, however, be able to give some fruit or other food which your dog will find tasty, taking care not to exaggerate and not to give harmful substances such as sweets, fried foods, rice dishes,